among us didn't see this coming? As the fallout of the Snow White movie continues to shock us with its disastrous box office numbers, Disney has taken it upon themselves to demonstrate just what they think of the movie's lead actress. Let's be honest. They had to find someone to blame for the catastrophe, and who better than the 23-year-old actress who had spent the last year and a half openly trashing the original cartoon and trumpeting that the new remake was going to have a modern edge with no romance, no prince, and no real story to tell other than the one that every female character for the last decade has told. She's empowered. She doesn't need a man. She doesn't want true love. She wants to be a leader. They keep giving us the same female characters over and over again, and keep acting surprised when we send them back. This storyline might have worked 6 or 7 years ago when the girl boss Hollywood craze was just beginning to pick up some steam, but after seeing it from Marvel and Disney and Star Wars and other contemporary films and TV shows, the trend is all but dead. Hollywood and people like Rachel Zegler just don't know it yet. But it'll be pretty hard to deny after the results and in-depth analysis about this movie is revealed. After 2 weeks, it is a confirmed bomb at the box office and is one of the lowest-rated films ever on IMDb. You have to admit, that's pretty impressive, even with everything else that's been happening around the movie. You have to wonder if Rachel Zegler was competing with the likes of Brie Larson to see if she could tank her career faster. If movies like Shazam and West Side Story, one of which was a critical success, but a commercial failure couldn't do it, then surely her comments and interviews were the final nail in the coffin. Now, maybe if Snow White was her first film, people might be willing to take a second shot at Zegler's work. After all, she was nominated for and won a Golden Globe for her performance in West Side Story, and it has been widely confirmed that yes, Rachel Zegler has a good singing voice. She's also the youngest person to win the award, as she was 20 years old at the time, all of which is pretty impressive. But none of these accolades were enough to cause the movie to be a commercial success. West Side Story had a budget of $100 million and only grossed $76 million worldwide, making it a flop at the box office. Sure, these numbers can be attributed to a few reasons. It debuted in the heart of the COVID pandemic, which made a lot of people reluctant to go to the theaters. There was a recent trend of musical theater films underperforming at the box office, and the older crowd being hesitant to go back to the movies. All of this could be true, and so it's hard to chalk this film's performance up to anything more or less than bad luck. Rachel Zegler was also a relatively unknown actress at the time, but even the big name of Spielberg attached to this film wasn't enough to save it from its failure. It was enough, however, to hand Zegler her Golden Globe Award and to have the film be nominated for numerous Oscars, despite the disappointing monetary performance. Even though West Side Story was a box office flop, it was hardly enough to slow Rachel Zegler down with her 2023 appearance in Shazam! Fury of the Gods, the next installment in a long lineup of strange DC films that the floundering studio released in their efforts to compete with Marvel's cinematic universe. Despite the likability of the movie's main actor Zachary Levi, Fury of the Gods, like West Side Story, was a commercial failure as well. With a budget of $125 million and only grossing marginally more than $134 million worldwide, the film was labeled as a box office dud as well. The failure of Fury of the Gods had nothing to do with Rachel Zegler, however, and like the previous movie, could just as well be chalked up to bad luck, and possibly superhero fatigue brought about by bad writing and bad storytelling and insufferable characters from other properties. Here's looking at you, Disney+. That same year, there was a writer's strike that lasted for months, which Rachel Zegler took a very active role in, with comments like these.
I stand in solidarity with the Writers Guild of America to get better wages for everyone involved. Thank you so much.
Say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Not only does this attitude come off as insufferable and out of touch, but it also comes on the coattails of the revelation of photos like this one, which heralded only the beginning of the disaster that was Snow White. We've all seen these interviews.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
I have a feeling that in about 5 to 10 years, Rachel Zegler is going to look back on everything she said and did in this era and wish that she had never opened her mouth. Not only did she demonstrate next to no media training with her comments, she forgot one of the biggest rules in Hollywood media. The interviewers are not there to be friends with you. They are there for a soundbite or a hot take, and they will try any number of techniques to get someone to say something newsworthy or else exclusive. And with Rachel Zegler, places like Variety and late-night talk show hosts hit the jackpot.
I'm a narcissist.
It certainly doesn't help that in the last 2 years, Rachel has made many disparaging and callous comments about her co-stars, suggesting their time on screen would be cut and all but laughing about it.
Whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's...
Despite The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes being a success at the box office, the movie has been all but forgotten about in the face of Zegler's ongoing Snow White controversy that just continues to gather steam the longer the audience was left in anticipation for the movie. Every trailer, every interview, every social media post from Rachel just prompted more and more backlash until it was all but guaranteed that this movie would be a commercial failure. If it wasn't the story of the 150th girl boss being told through the eyes of a young woman who clearly had no respect for the original story, it was the nightmarishly bad CGI that made up the dwarves, taking them from charming and personable and funny like they were in the original film, to soulless, joyless, forgettable collections of pixels that were clearly Disney's desperate attempts to avoid some sort of non-existent controversy. It was also the horrifically bad original songs that peppered the movie with nauseatingly bad lyrics and horrifyingly boring performances. And speaking of destroying things, audiences have been utterly trashing the film on social media and on the reviewing websites like IMDb, giving it historically low reviews and all but cementing the film as one of the worst of all time. This was certainly all but guaranteed with the 66% drop-off on weekend 2 of the film's release, which would have been its last chance to make headway on turning a profit before Minecraft releases this weekend. The movie only had 2 weekends where it would be the feature at the box office, before it would have to share screen time and profits with other new releases, and with a catastrophic drop-off between week 1 and 2, we can pretty much guarantee that Disney is going to have to write Snow White off as another live-action disaster. And of course, who could forget about the recent controversy of Rachel Zegler going out to promote the film and instead capping it off by shouting out her own personal politics in a movie that had hundreds of people working on it and in many ways were dependent upon its success. The backlash against her social media posts was so bad, in fact, that one of the producers had to fly out to New York just to get her to retract her statements, which she ended up refusing to do. What was that again, Rachel?
I'm a narcissist.
Oh, yes. That's right. I really wish that Jonah Platt hadn't bent the knee to the online mob that demanded he take this post down, because everything about it was true and needed to be considered. Not just for Rachel Zegler, but for any up-and-coming young actor or actress who is thinking they can just say whatever they want with no consequences. Now, is the complete failure of this movie all Rachel Zegler's fault? Not at all. She didn't write the script or produce the movie. She was just given lines to say, and she said them with complete relish. She told us all about what the movie was going to be like, and we believed her and said, nah, I think I'll pass on this one. She told us exactly who she was, and we believed her about that too. So the failure of Snow White is not squarely on the shoulders of Rachel Zegler, and yet she'll be the one to hold the L for this, not Disney, which is highly deserving of scrutiny after this latest failure. But because of her comments and all the controversy surrounding the film and nearly every interview that she has given, Rachel Zegler will likely never mainline a Hollywood production ever again. All this controversy has done is cement her as box office poison, and I can't imagine any film studio willing to take her on after all the bad PR she's gained in the last 2 years. I sincerely hope she has a better career on Broadway, because I do think that she'll do well there and will likely be allowed to say whatever she wants with no repercussions whatsoever, because the stakes there aren't nearly as high. And I hope she enjoys it, because if the last few disastrous years have been any indication, it's hard to believe that Rachel Zegler will have any sort of career in Hollywood ever again. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. What do you think of the ongoing Rachel Zegler controversy? Be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and let the conversations begin. Until next time, everyone.